Welcome to another episode of Test Chamber. I am Joe Juba. I'm joined by Matt Miller.
Hey, hey.
And we are taking a look at The Descent, which is the latest DLC for Dragon Age Inquisition. And now this is following up. They've done a lot of like multiplayer DLC and stuff like that, but I think Jaws of Hakon is pretty much the only other major, like sort of single player story focused thing they've done.
Sure.
So now here we are jumping into the new one.
So my question for you is that where does this fit within? Do you know where it fits within the story? Is it meant to be kind of its own thing, separate from the main story, or set after the events of the main game, or what?
I think that generally the way BioWare handles it is sort of letting you do it either way. So if you go in at a post-game save, I think it probably responds to that to some degree. Personally, I go at it because there are some things that happen post-game. I'm taking this... Whoa, nope. I'm taking this with a wait, what's the way to, like a pre-post game save?
Sure.
Like I've beaten the game,
but this is like your save before you've beaten the game.
Right.
Got it.
So we're not looking at any, sort of disastrous end game spoiler stuff.
Got it.
But anyway, the basic premise is that there's a new area on the map called Disaster in the Deep Road. So I guess that there's sort of been I should have read it more carefully as I was just going through. But there's been some, sort of reports of earthquakes and stuff coming out of the deep roads, so we're kind of heading, I believe we're sort of like heading to Orzammar here to sort of go dive in and investigate what's going on there.
Well, I like the idea of what seems like it's going to be sort of like a dedicated dungeon dive kind of a thing, right?
Right. I mean, my understanding of it is that it gets harder the deeper you go in.
Oh, cool.
And I think it also has some degree of like scaling. So I'm going into this as I don't even know, like probably level 20 plus 24 or something character. I think that you might be able to do it sooner. I don't know for sure.
The workers are almost done building.
Because like the last one, Jaws of Hakon, was definitely like an end game piece of DLC. It'd be nice if you could, I mean, if nothing else, start this one sooner.
Right.
Like maybe do the early levels earlier in the game or something.
And then come back later and be able to go further.
Yeah. Well, always got to take the chance to talk to Scout Harding, though.
That's right. She is weirdly one of the cooler characters in this game.
Yeah. That's one of the highlights of the last DLC was that you did actually get a sort of longer conversation with her.
Uh-huh.
There wasn't much, story based with the rest of your party, but
This looks really safe, by the way. this single rope pulley that is going to lower the savior of the planet down into a...
And she's telling us to not shift around, too. So, yeah.
It's also going way too fast.
So long, Inquisitor. Good luck.
How are we going to let people know we need to come back up?
Yeah. Who knows?
Oh, it's probably fine.
Yank on the rope 3 times.
Should be wary of Rollirium.
I'm more worried about finding Darkspawn.
That is one of the things, speaking of Darkspawn, that I think is kind of interesting about Dragon Age 2 is that, because the first game dealt with the Blight, Darkspawn were sort of front and center as like the big bad guys.
Right.
And then for 2, and then... I mean, they're a little more in 3, but I think I like the way that it sort of expands to be like, sometimes the Darkspawn are the worst things around, but most of the time they're not.
It's other things going on, right?
Yeah.
Because the first game was very much focused on that particular threat was going to come into the world and potentially, like, wipe it out, right?
Yeah. And I think it's, especially for a first game in a series, a lot easier to sort of keep it focused that, like, these are, basically orcs from Lord of the Rings, right? Like, these are just terrible monsters that are easily identified as like a threat, Okay, let's investigate.
You look as though you're hiding from something.
As a citizen of Orzammar, even a glimpse of
This is kind of weird for me. I didn't play this character as with the beard. I added it because after release they they added a sort of a mirror that you can go to that you can like alter your appearance.
Right.
And they also fixed some of the beard, like there were some times when beards weren't fitting well on the faces and stuff.
Yeah.
So they fixed that. So I went in to sort of test it out, and then I forgot. So
now he's bearded.
so I mean now he's bearded, which
He
is
looks
cool.
pretty good.
But it's just kind of weird when it's like that's kind of my character, but not the character I remember.
How many dwarves have you lost?
More than we can count. The mining caste has suffered greatly. Our situation has worsened since we contacted Skyhold.
That's a good sign.
The quakes
Yeah.
collapsed this mine and shattered a seal, keeping the Darkspawn at bay. The Legion of the Dead hasn't been able to mend the broken seal, and we can't afford to lose any more lyrium.
Ooh, I have some history ranks. Whatever. We'll skip it.
We want to go attack some things.
Yeah.
Not a steady lyrium.
Now, I know you're kind of just digging into this right now, but have they said much about like what is being added other than this big sort of like what amounts to what kind of sounds like a mega dungeon, right?
Yeah.
Like, is that the big push here? Or are they? Do you know if they're adding in like new armors or anything like that? Any specific characters they've highlighted as being especially cool? Or
I don't think. I think the dungeon is really the major push here. There may be some more. Some more
Sure, the stuff you encounter along the
schematics
way.
and armor
Yeah.
and like some of that stuff. But it seems like front and center is. I mean, I haven't played it yet, so we're sort of digging in. But just based on how they've been talking about it beforehand,
sure.
it seems like the dungeon is really the focus.
And it's a cool looking setting. I mean, I like the idea. The reason I asked is because in previous like Dragon Age
Ogre.
Inquisition, that's trouble. They often had DLCs that were like, this is about this character, right? Whereas this being kind of more about like, we're going to go to this particular place and have this big old dungeon that you go explore.
Yeah,
That's kind of neat.
oh, he's immune to something.
Just keep doing what you're doing. It'll probably be fine.
Yeah, I'm sure whatever it is okay.
Yeah, he is not messing around.
Not focused on us. Now's the
Okay.
time to attack.
Stun, knockback, or knockdown. I don't know that I have any of those right now. It's been a little while since I've played this too, which is probably not helping. Wow. I feel like that my party is no slouch,
Yeah.
and yet
this guy is really hardcore.
yeah, he's really doing a number on me. Let's try this wall of fire again. All right. Let's get some barriers up on people. Is it electricity he's immune to? I can't tell.
Right now.
You're slowly but surely knocking away at his health,
Yeah, but man,
but
that's,
not at any particularly fast pace.
all right. Well, that's
That seems to be doing some good.
there we go. That's good to know, though. That like this isn't going to be something that is a
Now's the time.
Cakewalk?
yeah that as a high level character that this isn't necessarily going to be like a piece of cake. Let's do the wall of fire again. Can't tell what I'm doing that he's immune to, and that's kind of bugging me.
While it's distracted.
See if my Knight Enchanter business is doing any good. At least keeping my barrier up.
You're being brave as a mage up there, and
Oh, did you take the Knight Enchanter ability at all, or the Prestige class? Basically?
no, I was straight up like warrior action.
Ah, okay. Knight Enchanter is interesting because it's a little more. It gives you a little more option to be up close if you want,
Got it.
which is really I don't know. I mean, like it's it's probably normally it's not how I like to play, but there's also the fact that in this game, at least when the game first came out, I don't know if they've rebalanced it since, but it was kind of very much the, I don't want to say the cheater's way to do it, but it was it was an overpowered class.
Got it.
Man, this fight is really taking a while.
I think you almost got him now. Uh-oh.
Wallet's distracted.
No, there we go.
Make it take you.
Okay,
Yeah, there you go. Quest complete.
now we're
Totally
even.
fine.
Returning the favor.
If the ogre reached this
Better
point,
loot that.
the Legion must be overwhelmed. Let us hurry.
Okay, I'm hoping that we don't have a ton of ogre fights in front of us.
That did seem like maybe it was like an attempt to do a big fight early on there.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope that we've got a bunch of Hurlocks and crap down here and not just ogres nonstop.
They corrupt everything,
But
even the air.
did you play the previous DLC?
No, not yet. I've been
Okay.
sort of waiting and looking forward to. I think I might try to do them in bulk.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which brings me to the question of: do you know if they've talked about like if there are additional story DLCs beyond this, or is that still sort of under wraps, or what?
You know, I don't know that they made an announcement one way or another. I guess, if nothing else, I don't think that they've said definitively that they're done.
Yeah.
So that would lead me to think that there's probably more on the way.
Sure.
But they may have definitively said that there are more, and I just missed it. But yeah, I mean, going in bulk is certainly one way to do it. I keep telling myself that like that's the way I'll do it. Like I really like that second push on a game. You know, like,
Right.
you play it a lot when it comes out, and then it feels like a new game when you go back to it again. But for some reason, I just can't hold myself to it. I wanted to do it with Mass Effect. I was like, oh, I'll just wait till all the DLC's out, and then just like as soon as it comes out, it's
Yeah.
like I just need to play it.
Yeah.
We can't do this.
So,
Hurry.
but I actually will need to replay Jaws of Hakon at some point on this one because I haven't done it on this save yet.
And the spell effects in this game are so great.
It looks so good.
At the dark spot.
It's kind of, well, I mean, Miller, you're a D&D player. Like, it kind of looks the way that you always imagine D&D looking. You know, not
Absolutely.
like, you know, okay, so nothing against the Elder Scrolls series, but like the magic in that game is kind of underwhelming from a visual perspective. You know, it's like you're casting fireball and it's this tiny little fireball that comes
Right.
out of your hand.
I mean, a lot of what works here, frankly, is that you've got that third-person perspective and some really great kind of magic-y looking animations connected to your characters
Yeah.
that make it look so good.
And then I also like that you do this. You can just like,
Yeah.
like mid effect, you're just like jumping all over the place. Where's my? Yeah, like man, that looks cool.
Absolutely.
Anyway, sorry, we'll keep going. Now I don't remember what difficulty I have this set on, but I'm guessing that this is that it's set on normal right now.
Okay.
This is definitely not the save that I used for Nightmare, so I can't
Well,
imagine.
that's probably good.
Can't imagine that we'd be doing that. Let's get some barrier going. Well, yeah, Darkspawn are definitely front and center so far.
A little callback to the original game. It's kind of neat. This is
Yeah.
reminiscent of some of the areas I remember running around in during
Yeah.
Inquisition, you know?
Or you mean Origins?
Sorry, yes, during
Oh,
Origins.
okay. Yeah, yeah. And I believe that these dwarves were fighting with their members. I don't remember the Legion of something or another, which is the dwarves that are basically just dedicated to like fighting
Yeah,
back.
giving their lives
Yeah,
to
yeah.
hold the line.
Yeah, just fighting back the ever. You know, like when there's a blight, there are a ton of darkspawn, but there are lots of darkspawn normally anyway, that's what they're sort of down here fighting, I think. Oh, camp. Let's do it. Or do I have to fight more dudes yet? Oh, lyrium charges. Maybe I should have been paying closer attention.
Take cover.
Yeah, it seems like probably not something we want to hang around for.
You could leave one of your party members up there just for fun.
Soulless.
That's right.
All right.
I like that one dwarf. He's just like,
Whatever.
no reaction whatsoever.
I don't need to take cover. I am quite short.
He's so used to this kind of nonsense.
I did read on Twitter that this is generally, like lengthwise, that it's maybe about 5 to 7 hours or so of
That's cool.
gameplay. So it's not like a mega dungeon in the sense that it's just, like in the
Sure.
D&D sense of just going on forever. But,
But a dungeon-focused
Yeah.
DLC thing that's mostly about this big kind of underground threat.
Yeah,
it seems
yeah.
like.
And so as a plus, part of what's interesting about that, I think, like the previous DLC, I liked. I mean, like it was a whole new area, but it didn't really offer a whole lot that was new to do. It's like, okay, so a new area, so you go out and like you do more astrariums and you find shards around and do some quests for people and things like that. It wasn't anything that was like, from a story perspective, really compelling. There were no like great new character moments and stuff like that. So I'm glad that with this, even if they don't add a bunch of like character or story stuff, at least it's something different.
Yeah.
It's not just like, well, here's another wide open zone for you to go explore. At least this is very much more like, it seems like it's very more, let's go in the dungeon and let's fight a bunch of things.
Yep.
Which I'm enjoying so
And as
far.
we can see, we're seeing right now, it looks like they've taken the time to invest in some additional voice work and new story content.
Yeah.
If you have a death wish.
The roads once connected dwarven cities that were hundreds of miles apart. Then came the Darkspawn. Ren and I have been exploring this region, reclaiming it. The work is slow.
Mark the map. Find
I really like the dwarven armor design. That sort of like blocky, angular thing.
Absolutely.
I get the impression you two have known each other.
Yeah.
You can quit and
Not when we
Okay, sorry, I'm going to skip some of this.
The Legion of the Dead has the Inquisition's...
That's the best news I've heard since the Quakes began.
Oh.
So what bad things are happening in a dungeon when rocks start falling. It's like the universal sign for something bad's going on.
Well, and of course, the universal response is go deeper in the dungeon.
That's right. Let's keep going.
Yeah, as soon as in any RPG, whether it's tabletop or video game, the
Just go
best thing to
deeper.
do is you just need to go deeper.
more
Yeah.
insistent.
I hear it. Doesn't prove a thing.
This is that
Natural disaster.
Dungeons and Dragons like DM moment where after fighting an ogre, the party's like, I don't think we should be here, and then the DM is like, there's an earthquake that collapses and closes your way out.
You got to keep going.
There we go.
I found an ancient text during an expedition with Ren last year. At the time, it was just a curiosity. But now, the text describes giant creatures called
His
Titans.
sense exposition going on right now.
Yeah, yep.
They sing in the stone, shaping it.
Oh boy,
When these quakes
Titans.
began, I believe we
Probably don't have any fighting of Titans to do.
A Titan
No.
is causing all this destruction.
Stone singing is never good.
You may be onto something. No, probably.
Yeah.
No explanation is too strange to consider.
For all we know, that text you found was a bedtime story.
The rhythm I sense in the quakes
That's another thing in video games. If there's ever an ancient legend or something that someone brings up,
Yeah.
it's true.
It is definitely true.
There's a lift at the side passage nearby. Ready when you are.
All right. Let's go down another. Let's go down some more lifts.
Deep Roads Expedition Table.
Ooh, okay. Unique operations found in this area of the Deep Roads.
That's kind of neat.
Whoa, okay, so we have different areas of it and everything. Let's do some Legion camp improvements. That's a cool idea. So it's like a secondary war table, basically.
Yeah. So what are some of the other options we can look at here? Just
I mean, I think that that was the only one I
over there,
I
right?
see. So let's see what's over in. Is there anything over in the Uncharted Abyss? Doesn't look like we.
So a lot of that stuff must be like sort of locked to later sections.
Yeah, I'm sure that as we get sort of like further down in the dungeon, I guess it'll probably help us out.
Very cool.
Okay. What does she have?
Is on everyone's lips. Even the Assembly has taken an interest. I'm told King Balin wished to meet you personally, but the Deshers talked him down. The earthquakes present too great a risk. When the previous king died, Orzammar nearly fell apart.
Thanks for the insight, Shaper.
I'll have to go back and replay this when I actually want to
We'll speak another time.
Learn all the lore and stuff.
Yeah. Turns out it's not that interesting to just sit and go through conversations. Now, did it say that Cullen... Oh, okay. That's done. Maybe I just had Cullen on a different mission or something. Okay, so you can rest. So it's basically just like your normal camp. Whoa, okay. Interesting.
Does this look like they could be fun?
These are things like you can normally only get dragon bone, dragon scales, dragon webbing from killing dragons, and they're like the high level crafting materials. So being able to buy them, I guess, is pretty cool. I mean, I maybe they were available in the last one too, but this is the first time I've seen them just in a store.
It's cool.
Wow, seems like they have a lot of crafting stuff to do.
I'm betting that their idea is that, like, okay, we've had the main game options have been out there for a while.
Yeah.
And so this is just your option to kind of play around and get the coolest stuff that you can get.
Yeah. Well, especially since that like at this point, if you have high level schematics, there are only so many dragons in the game. There are a finite number of that kind of thing that you can get. So, oh crap! I'm just
They just gave you a bunch of dragon bone.
Yeah. Okay. Very cool. Well, let's find that lift they were talking about. Let's go fight some stuff.
Another really safe lift.
Yeah,
Probably.
undoubtedly. Yeah. Oh, I was gonna save, but I guess at this point, if we die, we'll just sort of call it a day, and
that'll be that.
And
that'll be our notice to know that
the video's
test chamber is over.
Yep.
I always imagine, by the way, when you run onto one of those lifts and your party isn't there yet, the scene that happens as everybody's desperately rushing to catch up before the thing moves. And then you always have it kind of like cut for a moment.
Yeah.
And in
everyone's
that
there.
moment that you don't see, it's like the guy who's in the back is like, why did you already pull the lever?
Solus or Varric is way back there, like, come on again.
My legs aren't that long.
Yeah.
Emissaries are intelligent.
Okay, so it's not letting me move here, so
Have to take the
we're
whole
supposed to
head to
listen,
wipe
I
the grin
guess.
off their face. Which, fair enough, right?
I feel like if I was the Darkspawn, I would really make an effort to have a big team just waiting at the bottom of the lift.
Yeah, maybe the Darkspawn, without the the Archdemon to guide them, are
Maybe they're not as smart.
not the biggest tactical geniuses.
Yeah, that's possible.
I thought you'd be used to all kinds of darkspawn.
Oh, there we go.
Everyone's got their favorites.
You'll notice, especially on this difficulty, I do not use the tactical camera a lot.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think that
I don't think I did either when I was playing. I mean, I think it allowed for a pretty action-oriented play style if that's what you wanted. It was only if you were really especially interested in the more tactical stuff that you were forced to, kind of pause and play, or higher difficulties.
Yeah, definitely on. I played on Nightmare, and you definitely needed to. Definitely need to be a little more careful with it there. Okay, get some journal.
This belonged to an exiled dwarf. Was experimenting with raw lyrium.
Okay, so still some little rewards for going off the beaten path a little.
Yep.
I like that. Okay. Also, if you haven't logged on in a while, Miller, one thing you should check out is down in your hold. Not only do you have party storage chest now, which is great. Mm-hmm. You also have the ability to customize to basically dye your armor to customize the color of it and stuff.
Sweet.
Which is really nice. So I think pretty much all my characters are wearing some sort of custom colored stuff now. Okay, so we need 3.
You need some scorched ancient gears, Joe.
Okay, and we only have 1. Well, that's a side quest.
Now, if you find any bright, well-polished ancient gears, those are not going to fly.
No, counterfeits.
That's right.
Okay, well, it's giving me this area for them. I wonder if that's maybe... Do I have to go down somewhere for it?
There's some baddies for you.
I do feel bad for these little things sometimes.
Huh.
Well, just in the set, in any RPG, when you're in an end game party, and some idiot is like, "Oh, it's you, huh? Time to stand up to the bad guy." It's like, oh, all right, buddy. Good luck.
Ren, I'm sorry about Bernat.
You gotta just think about it as them fulfilling their purpose in life. What else are they there for? But to get slaughtered by the high-level wizard
It's all right to be upset.
coming through the dungeon.
Yeah.
I'm too old to be upset.
Okay. Is this a place? Nope, that's
Pretty
just
dark.
Okay. Well, let's go this way again. I mean, there are bad guys over here. Let's figure this out. Hey, guys.
They probably have some ancient gears sitting around.
Right. Come on, get out of the... There we go. I don't think I knew the word brazier until I started playing D&D.
Yeah.
Or RPGs in general, I guess.
Yeah.
His gears won't
Or, what is it? Portcullis?
Yeah, yeah.
That's another
Actually, I did learn that one from The Princess Bride.
Okay.
I remember that one distinctly. Because there's some part at the end when they're storming the castle, where it's like, Fezzik, the portcullis, and then he under the giant stops the portcullis from coming down.
What we're saying is this is really an argument for D&D being an important educational experience for all children. So you can learn these everyday words.
Yeah. Okay, I should have been paying closer attention. Where is... There we go.
Ah, there it is.
We have enough of these odd gears. Let's head back to the door.
They're all scorched, hopefully. This is very reminiscent of a Tomb Raider puzzle I played in 1996.
I do kind of wish that there were actually a little more
It's open.
puzzly stuff going on in games like this sometimes.
Sure.
And if we don't,
actually like challenging, like things you actually have to think about. But I guess in some ways, though, if the combat is tactical enough, then that sort of takes the place of it, I think.
It's also, I think, a balancing act that, you want to have those... I think one of the ways to do that successfully is to make some of those puzzles optional. Mm-hmm. When you're playing through a game that's mostly action-oriented or oriented towards, like, collecting loot or getting to even like this where you've got an RPG where you're mostly interested in seeing what's the next thing that's going to happen in the story.
Yeah.
When you run into a puzzle that's just totally a barrier for progress, it can be a little bit frustrating. Yeah. But I agree with you that when they're present in some form, it's really exciting. There's this sense of discovery and sort of emergent quality to the experience. If you like see this thing off to the side, and there's some weird statue and an ancient text on it that you just don't know how to get into, you have to solve that riddle. It's great fun, but sometimes you're just kind of not in the mood for that.
Yeah, well, it can also be sort of deflating to that. The compromise there is just to put a totally easy puzzle in front of you that's just like, okay, I'm going to push some dumb boxes for a minute, I guess. All right, well, I'm glad that these fights have ended up being a little less daunting than the ogre fight at the very beginning.
Yep. And I don't know, I'm starting to get a picture here after several minutes running through here that if somebody was a fan of either Origins or the sections in 2 where you were kind of going down into these dwarven tunnels and fighting the Darkspawn and all that kind of stuff, this is a pretty cool little nod back to that stuff while simultaneously being a new adventure. That feels like it can kind of stand on its own with a new threat and some interesting kind of loops into what's going on with the Inquisition storyline.
Yeah,
not to mention that gameplay.
Yeah, I'm anxious to see how what those other like operations you can do down here, like what that amounts to. And I mean, we've sort of been glossing over it, but there is a story. It's not just a mindless dungeon crawl. Like there is something about a Titan down there, sort of shaping the stone and stuff, so I think that could figure into the lore in sort of an interesting way also.
Absolutely. I'm also a big fan of any time you have level design that's all about just like, we're going down. Yeah. Going further. Like every door you open, there's like more stairways down. Just thematically, that really works for me.
It was quite the battle.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine.
Well, I think that's a pretty good look at just the opening sequence of the Descent.
Absolutely.
It's available now on all the consoles that have Dragon Age. Actually, I wonder about that. I should have looked into it. There might be something. I thought that there's something about maybe they're not supporting last gen for these anymore. But anyway, it's at least for sure available on PC, PS4, and Xbox One. Yeah, there we go. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.